How's it going, folks? I'm Matt, this is Photosynthetic, and welcome to another episode of Meet the Industry. Today, we've got a very special guest, Mr. Thomas Gibson of Grandmaster LEDs. We'll just call him GML, I think. And Thomas, absolutely happy to have you on the show, representing your brand. And you guys have some really exciting products. I'm definitely stoked to talk about.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for having me.
All right. So I guess, before we really talk about products, maybe just give me a little bit of the background on how you got started, running a lighting company.
Well, I got it. I used to have I still have a YouTube channel, and I had a YouTube channel where I was doing all different types of grow series. And one day I basically put out a request to other LED companies because I was an HPS grower my whole life, since 96.
Yeah.
And basically, a couple companies contacted me, and then I ended up working with the horticulture lighting group, basically. And I think I played a major role in their growth from early on. And then basically kind of left on really bad terms.
Oh,
Is
it's unfortunate.
basically, yeah, it was one day I got a call and I realized I didn't have a future there anymore, basically, after I had kind of like put my life into it for 4 years. But in the end, I'm actually really, really happy because that's how Grandmaster LEDs was formed. And so I've been a grower my whole life, and I kind of feel like it gives us a pretty good edge when we're designing lights, and also
Yeah.
coming into this later on in after everybody else had lights designed, basically like all our competitors. And my father-in-law, who retired, who was a mechanical engineer, and he's like a high level mechanical engineer that has designed like multi-million dollar stuff for pharmaceutical companies, design vehicles, and he basically joined our team full time, and he's their in-house mechanical engineer. So he was really helpful having him just for all the design work and stuff early on, just coming, and we designed a whole bunch of different stuff, and some stuff really took off and some stuff wasn't as popular.
Yep.
And we just kind of, tested the market, and then we've just kind of really found our direction now.
Very cool. And yeah, you guys really seem to be leading the charge in a few things. And I mean, that brings me to my next question, the products. Jumping on your website, see a bunch of different ones on there for, say, greenhouse lighting, tent lightings. And there's that Predator light that I really want to discuss, but not quite yet. Why don't you just give me an overview of your portfolio of products and talk a little bit about them?
Well, we first started off with just like single channel and then a couple dual channel lights that have far red on a separate channel. And we like when I with the former company I was with only had single channel lights, and that's what I would say over 90% of companies have. They're just like one spectrum lights. Far red isn't really spectrum tuning. It technically is like having the control of far red, because it is, I think there is a lot of benefits being able to use it and having full control of it. And most LED companies don't have far red in their lighting, or it's very, very little. And there's two major reasons why, because the far red diodes are, first of all, one of the most expensive, and they
Yep.
also hurt the efficiency of your light dramatically. So when you put them in the actual diodes in your light, it's really hurting your overall score on paper, what the efficiency says. And that's like what I think a major reason is, but we believe it's essential.
Of
After
course.
after 6 months of us in business and just seeing the results with the two channel lights, we redesigned everything to have far red in it. Like, so we didn't, and we just from that point on, we also kind of planned to make a spectrum tuning light, which was like called the Tarantula Borg, which we did, and which was capable of doing stuff that no other lights in the world can actually do, with the ability to basically go bluer or redder than any other light. And I didn't really know truly how beneficial it was at that point, because I had personally hadn't seen it. And I have a medical room where I have six lights, and I have three tables, and I put a different spectrum on all three tables with a strain that I've been growing for years, where I literally have close to 100 runs in with.
Yeah.
And I saw three different results. And as soon as I saw that, like when I say three different results, I'm saying on one side of the room, the buds were smaller and denser, and on the other side, they were bigger, like a different structure and different almost trichome density, and different even in the middle.
That makes
And
sense.
when I saw that, I thought like that is really the future. And so
Absolutely.
from that point on, I've thought, well, anything we're really going in the direction of spectrum tuning besides the under canopy and side lighting and lower lighting, which are, I think, the need to be very heavy, deep red spectrums because like a lot of people don't believe in under canopy lighting, and we didn't actually believe in it. When I first saw it going on, because everybody's saying, hey, it's going underneath the leaf. Well, what's happening with these deep red lights? It's going through the leaf and being caught.
So much penetration. Yeah, I mean that
Yeah.
makes sense.
And I really believe that that is the future. It's actually a product that we're about to launch in about a week that we've changed our design 4 different times and done a lot of really work. And then we've really come out with a really banger when it comes to efficiency, the most efficient in the world. And it also, what puts us aside is we have, they float. Most people have them all sitting on mounting things, and we've made a design so that they mount to your bars that you have on your tables basically, and so they can adapt to that and they're floating, and it just kind of makes it a lot nicer not having it to sit on anything, and they're
Very
also
cool.
extremely efficient, and
Yep.
we've also made it so you can do lower side lighting and under canopy, and I actually believe that that's actually the future. I know it sounds pretty crazy because, well, each bar is capable of 120 watts, so I actually believe in some situations the future is having 2 bars underneath, 2 lower side, and actually only having to go potentially 500 to 550 watts above and being able to take it a little bit closer and having this approach if you want to be hitting 5 pounds of light, and also at the same time having no bee buds underneath and having no color discoloration through your canopy. And it's like I after we saw over a dozen of our own clients testing it from other people, we were forced to do this because we like saw the results, and I was upset that we didn't do it sooner because it really is a game changer for people.
Well, I mean, you're more replicating what's happening on outside with the way that sunlight falls outside versus the way our LEDs hit the ground inside. So I really agree with a lot of what you're saying with the under canopy. And the thought of boosting that far red, especially in the flower, makes a ton of sense to me. So then, as you guys are developing stuff, the Predator. I mean, you've been hyping this up for months, man. It's a super exciting idea. Talk about it. Tell me about the Predator. How am I going to bring a light into my grow space that's going to kill bugs? But then, are there safety concerns?
Yeah, well, it's not an idea anymore. It's for
Yeah,
sale.
I guess so.
It's for sale in the USA and in some other places too, and about to be going to the UK and Australia. And yeah, it's just I came across a utility patent that was abandoned from the earlier 2000s that put me on a pretty crazy chase, like wild chase, like of doing a whole bunch of investigating and research. And then there was just so much evidence already about, not evidence, where people doing all different types of testing with UVC on and killing insects and with extremely successful results. But I don't know why. Like they're like, I guess it's kind of hard to believe, to be quite honest. Like when you first hear about it, it really is like a lot of people don't believe it at all. And it's
Right.
like to me, this is the, well, and to everybody else that's starting to use them, this is the biggest advance of our life when it comes to growing, because it gives you this next level protection. Like, well, for example, for thrips, I was just at a massive LP that's is battling thrips for a year, and we
Yeah.
don't have the ability to sell it in Canada yet because we're working on that, but we're allowed to sell it in USA. And they're just, they want it so badly. And it's like with our predators, we can come in 8 days with bigger plants and we can wipe out a thrip infestation with no pesticides or any type of predator bugs. And with only using, for every light above, using 10 watts underneath for 15 minutes a day.
Yeah, spectrum, spectrum, spectrum. Thrip is a trigger word for me. Anybody who's followed this channel knows that I've battled them on and off for years. So the thought of being able to fight them again, like you're saying, without pesticides, because in the flower space, you have a very short window, if any, to really do anything in there. But what about the rest of the biology in there? I mean, I've got soil mites, I've got predators. I mean, I've got praying mantises on occasion in the space. Is it going to do those guys in as well?
I think it could be pretty damn damaging to them because
Yeah.
Well, how it works is by using it in the middle of darkness. It's such a low wattage. It's not enough to wake up the plant, but to an
Hmm.
insect, it's enough to kind of attract them. And we're working with a couple of universities that are assisting with white paper, so I don't have the exact science on it. It's actually pretty incredible. I actually can potentially even, if you want, in a little bit, share a little video footage of some of the documentation that we did when we were, as things were evolving. Because when we were actually first started using it to fight thrips, we were only using a 5 minute treatment, and we could only beat them by, I would say, about 97 to 98%, which was a serious win. But basically, in the top
Right.
30 inches, you're almost finding not even one thrip damage, and you could still find live thrips off to the side and kind of under where the lights are being treated. Like they were kind of just going to anywhere where there was no light, basically. And at that point, we thought it was a serious win. And then I decided to try stressing out the plant a little bit by using the light, well, just to stress the plant out, just because you use UV to enhance THC and terpenes.
Absolutely, absolutely. But
So
as you touched on, you're saying this is UVC. So, I mean, there's definitely going to be an inherent danger to people, and that's why the recommended application is more of a nighttime thing, 15 minutes.
absolutely, you do not want to be in the room with it, and same with you or any animals while it's running.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's not even like a matter of wearing eye protection. It's just you don't want to be around this light because it will damage your skin and whatnot.
Yeah, if you got like, you definitely don't want to get within 6 inches, especially. But I'm
Yeah.
saying, like, running by it wouldn't be the end of the world, but I don't
No.
want anybody ever being around it ever. And like how
Yeah.
what I recommend people do for especially commercial situations is have a dedicated timer that's like you have a phone app. I actually use one that I can recommend. I don't know the name off the top of my head, but it has a light on it. So it's like when you walk up to the door, you have a sign, do not enter if the light is on.
Yeah,
And
on
it's
air kind of thing, like the broadcast studios.
just kind of like a fail safe like that. What were we saying right before there? Because I was going to say something and now I don't remember. I just want to full disclosure. I'm super heavily medicated and I had the whole bunch of dental work done and a tooth pulled and an implant done yesterday and just had a whole bunch of
Oh
stuff.
yeah, no, for sure, for sure. And we were just talking about the effectiveness of the light on all
Yeah.
microbiology and life in the room. And I
Yes,
think that, yeah, go
that's
ahead.
what I wanted to respond to. Yes, exactly. Well, first of all, anything in the soil is completely safe. You would have to, well, the predators have the ability to spin 360 degrees. So, yeah, if you pointed them down directly at your soil, you definitely could really hurt like some microbiology on the top, microbial biology. Sorry.
Microbial activity,
Yeah.
yeah,
But I don't know how deep it would actually go.
right. But I mean, that's the thing. A lot of the pests that we're dealing with, spider mites, thrips, fungus gnats, all of those
Oh,
guys are
well,
in that space.
yeah, well, that's one thing I'd like
Or
to
out
say.
of that space, I should say, above that space.
Since we've launched, people have reported wiping out fungus gnats in a matter of a few days. That's one of the things that I haven't personally tested it on. So we don't really make claim too much at this point, except for it definitely works to eradicate thrips. Like thrips are a problem of the past. Like I'm not joking. Like you do not have to spray or anything. Like we can beat them with this completely conclusively. We can even beat spider mites in a very small situation when it was only a couple when we were doing 10-minute cycles. But when we added like hundreds of them, and I can even potentially share some of the footage with you.
Yeah,
And it's crazy because we couldn't beat them at that point with 10-minute cycles, but we could, like what they did in 12 hours and then 36 hours before we started treating them, they just ate the leaf like crazy. And then 7 days later, they're at the top leaves, or they have a little bit on one of them, but they're almost clean.
yeah. And that's
Crazy,
the
like they're kind of wandering around aimlessly. So I would say, even in the worst, this is to one little plant where we're taking 200 plus spider mites with like hundreds of eggs on a lima beans leaves and introducing it, and they were getting to establish for 36 hours before we started treating them.
yeah. Wow, that's amazing. So I guess the trade-off then is you have to understand that you're not really running predator mites or anything like that above soil anymore. So that's really not a necessary expense because, I mean, to be honest, I've spent hundreds, if not thousands of dollars battling thrips using predators and stuff. So basically, this is a one-time expense. When are they coming to Canada, GML? I need these.
I don't have the exact date yet. Here's the
Yeah.
thing: it's like it's crazy how we've already seen them online everywhere because we can't stop people from ordering them in the USA, and then they've been man, we've seen them all over the world already, like online. I was like, hey, how the hell did you guys get that? Because we definitely aren't shipping that to people, but lots of people are shipping them all over the place. But I don't have the exact date yet. But yeah, I know, and I'm sorry we don't have it here yet. It's so stupid that we're just working on the regulations. We almost launched, and that would have been we could have had a pretty big liability launching without having everything figured out.
Oh no, feel that. I've worked in manufacturing. I know what it's like to go through the approval process for the safeties and stuff. And I think that's probably the key point is you guys are doing that work. This isn't just some piece of cheap Alibaba stuff that has no certifications. This is a safe light, I should say, to use some
Well,
space.
yeah, and not only that, well, while we were developing it, we did lots of R&D and we did have failures. And I did have it, and we made some pretty cool discoveries actually. And one of them was, well, oh yeah, well, I was saying with the thrips, we were using 5-minute treatments, and then we decided to use it to enhance the plant. And then I decided to do two 15-minute treatments. And then, 6 days later, all of a sudden, I
Just
realized
nothing.
there's not a living thrip. And what was so crazy is that, they have almost a 30-day life cycle. So I thought that, we were going to beat them within 30 days from when I started using it and disrupted it, but we didn't. And then but as soon as we used it more, it's like they were just gone instantly. And then like we've basically concluded, you don't even have to do two 15-minute treatments, but two 15-minute treatments will destroy them. You probably wouldn't find them after 4 days. And on that actual crop, do you know who BC Bubble Man is?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I had caught his attention. I had reached out about this while I was developing it, and he had come and saw this crazy thrip infestation, and then came back at the very end with the macro. And this other individual, Matthew Gates, he's an IPM specialist
Yep.
from California. We flew him out to come see the results, and it's like he came in, they both inspected the room, and Marcus took a lot of pictures just right up close of macro footage, and there's everything is completely clean. There's no thrips at all. You can't find a living thrip at all. It was incredible, and it was a real infestation. And it was like this is where it's like we actually broke the rules because I've been at this outdoor since 93, indoor since 96.
Yep.
And at any given time, hundreds of lights for like a good 15-year period. And so like and I know what it's like to battle thrips where you could beat them and then they come back and you beat them and they come back. And we broke the rules. And
That's
like,
just amazing, man. I mean, as you guys are getting white papers and stuff, I'll see if I can't get this information. If you can send it to me, and I'll just update in the video, and so people can find out more about that. Because it sounds like the research is just going to keep going on this stuff.
absolutely. Well, we're working with like I said, it's two major universities.
Very cool. I love the science. So let's change it up a little bit and get back to talking more about spectrums and stuff. With 60 presets and the ability to customize themselves, you guys have a really cool controller. I'm a new grower. I've got one of your lights. How do I approach spectrum tuning? What am I looking to do? To get started.
Well, when you get on one of our 4-channel spectrum tuning lights, they consist of a cool white channel, a warm white channel, a deep red channel, and a far red channel. But if to picture it, like a cool white channel is a very blue channel that also has green. It's not even really close to what a metal halide or halide spectrum is, but I just reference it because it's extremely blue still, and that's like really good for internode spacing. So it has a 9,000 Kelvin channel, which is just bluer than anybody has ever done.
Deep blue. I love it.
Yeah, so you picture you have that of 600 watts of that, and then you have 600 watts of warm white, and I like to reference it. to
This is
HPS.
on the tarantula board you're talking?
Tarantula Borg
Yep.
Evolution and Tarantula Borg.
Yep.
Uh, and you have a warm light channel that's 2200 Kelvin, and it is like a HPS spectrum. And you can actually make it like exactly like an HPS spectrum within one to a couple percent by adding far red. Like Gavita HPS have 10.4% far red, and I believe it's 58% red, and then whatever the remaining amount is green. And obviously they have far red, which is heat. But we can totally match that spectrum with our light, and it's the very first light that's done it. What you do when you use 2200 Kelvin diodes, you actually sacrifice a lot of efficiency compared to using like a much cooler diode like all other companies do, but at the same time you gain diversity. But at the same time, we use so many diodes, we can actually kind of make up for the efficiency that we're losing from using those diodes in the spectrum.
Right. Are you guys employing like pulse width modulation techniques and, pulsing the lights to get, brighter lights, but not as much energy, or is it just always on kind of thing?
Well, we with our controller, you can change the spectrum up to 20 times a day.
Right.
And so you could literally do like a sunrise with 660 deep red, and then go to whatever your base spectrum is. And then later on at the end of the day, do blue sky for half an hour, then go back to your base spectrum. And then when the light goes out, you can go to far red. Like you can make your own light recipes and literally do anything.
Very
With the
cool.
ability to control far red, like our far red channel, I believe is the most powerful far red channel on the planet, with the ability to go up to I think 15% like of the spectrum. And most lights out there are competitors, like at the very most I think usually it's around 3% that they have in their spectrum.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And just the ability to individually dial up and down is it's a missed opportunity. And the funny thing is I look at like fish tank lights. I don't know if you've heard this before, but it looks like there's an industry that does more spectrum tuning, not to the extent that you guys are doing, but I mean, I can buy a fish tank light and control white and I can control blue, but nobody really seems to be doing spectrum tuning. Like, is this a missed opportunity for everybody else? Is this why you guys are just going to be better?
No, there is competitors out
Yeah,
there
it's
yeah,
happening. Okay.
there is. Wait, can I share my screen or not? Do I have the ability?
Yeah, you should be able to. Hold on a second here. Um, yeah, no, you can share.
Wait 1 second. Yeah.
All right.
You can see the spectrums.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, so this is another thing that I forgot to bring up about using the EvoMint diodes that have a 430 nano or 437 nanometer blue spike. Most lights in the whole world only have the 450.
I was gonna say you've got a lot of blue on the bottom end there.
Yeah, well, we have the double blue spike,
Yep.
and by
Yep.
using that, there's like a couple other companies that have it, but it's only with like a single channel light. So, and also one thing to look at when you're looking at all our spectrums on the far right is that's where the far red is, and that you'll see that in most people's, like when you're looking at somebody's most company spectrums, like something like 7, you will not see the far red in it. And this basically has every company's spectrum in it, and spectrums that no other company's ever done, basically.
Impressive. Very impressive. Hella far red. I mean, I don't know if you're quite getting to the same level as the HPS, but wow.
No, what you see right here, this is warm white at 100%. So you see this. If you actually Google right now, double or Gavita double-ended HPS,
Yeah, yeah.
and you pull up that spectrum, and you'll understand why. Because right here, this is extremely close. We just have to basically add far red right now
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
match it. And so that's like almost what a HPS spectrum is right here.
Yeah. And if you're just listening as a podcast, we're looking at spectrum charts right now, folks. Very cool stuff. Just yeah, the ability to tune it a whole bunch of different ways. That's amazing, GMO. I love the idea, and I think this is something companies, if they're not doing, are missing out on. So the ideal room. I've got your tarantula Borg up top. Some companion products you'd recommend for down below. You talked a little bit about booster bars, the Predators. Anything else, or what sort of setup would I be looking at? What would I be wanting to go for?
Well, the step down is actually potentially the best valued light in the world, and it's the Tarantula Voyager.
Yeah,
And it's capable of doing 12 different spectrums. It can do more, but I mean 12 different totally when you're visually looking at it. And it has a spectrum range of 2000 Kelvin to 9000 Kelvin. And instead of it doesn't have a deep red and far red channel, the deep red and far red are on the cool or the warm white channel. So,
awesome.
so if you think about it, it's almost like having 750 watts of HPS, 750 watts of metal halide. Basically, you can use either or use them together to make like traditional LED spectrums. You don't really ever need to go over 700 to 750 in like a 5 by 5 area, in my opinion, especially if you have a grid. A lot of people get misled by it being 1500 watts and they don't want 1500 watts. It's you don't need to use
Yeah.
1500 watts. If you're using 1500 watts, you could literally do 36 square feet. And what's so cool about them and that light, the Voyager, it's completely over engineered with 10 bars, 5,310 diodes, and it has two 750 watt Inventronics drivers. And like
Nice.
at the price that it's going for, it truly is the best value in the world, in my opinion, on a
Yeah.
light. It's just such a rock. It runs just so cool, and it's just like I said, it's really over engineered and it's just made to last.
Removable drivers. Can I take those outside of the tent, or am I not worried about the heat?
Absolutely. Every single one of our lights have the ability if you want to have a 10-foot driver extension, if you want.
Yeah,
So
no
it's
problem.
just like it's just something that we've it was one thing and also plug and play driver boxes and plug and play if you need to go from 120 to 240 also or 277.
It's almost like you're a grower has built lights for other growers. Jeez.
Well, that's one thing is like as we came out with our first line, and it's like, holy shit, I see a whole bunch of different things that we can do and add. And it's like each time we try to make it better, never cheap out on anything. Customer service is like so important to us.
Oh, hugely,
Like,
hugely.
if it was an emergency on a Sunday on my daughter's birthday, we would be there. Like, I don't can't think of any reason I would need to be, but I'm just saying, like, if something was serious, like we would be there and to help. And not that that's ever really happened. We got really, really lucky with who we partnered with in China and just their experience. It's just been really nice because, like, I was with another company before, and I just saw so many failures. And the whole time I was with the other company, they would be like totally attacking China, which had me terrified to go off on my own. But fortunate for me, my father-in-law, who's a mechanical engineer who had been designing stuff and having stuff made in China for years, had hooked me up with somebody, and I was able to, meet three different factories that had a reputable reputation. And then from that point, I just kind of, I talked to all three, and with one of them, I just connected, man, and just like being able to communicate is really important. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
hugely, hugely. And I tons of experience with manufacturing in China, just from previous jobs. And I'll just throw this out there to the audience. If you want to hear like some really interesting stories, there's a book called Poorly Made in China that this guy talks about all the different stuff that happened when they really started opening up manufacturing over there. And there's some really, really interesting stories about things like shampoo. But I totally digress. And I want to shift gears and touch on your Instagram content, the Grandmaster level stuff. There's crazy bug pictures and really wild videos about all sorts of things, like almost some of that daily dose of internet content. So, when did you start doing this? How did you kind of come up with the idea to help your brand in this way?
Well, I guess it really happened when they started restricting cannabis on Instagram. And
Hugely.
it sucked. Like, I would have days where I could have gain a few thousand people in one day. And, when you post something or something goes viral, like for, 4 months in a row, I hit 20 million accounts
Wow.
each
That's
month.
crazy. Yeah.
Over like 20 or over. And it was like, that's when I went from 40 to over 100,000 people or followers. But that was the reason I don't know, like, it was just like they were censoring and it was kind of like taking down posts all the time. So it's like, fuck, I can't even post cannabis because people are reporting me. And it's like, I just can't, you know what I mean? It was like, so I just started posting crazy shit for whatever reason. My feed was just crazy and people would started sending me these crazy infestations of bugs and everything. So I started getting, like, I got hundreds of these crazy videos that I'm sure you've seen of
Horrifying, just
the most
horrifying.
horrifying
Yeah,
infestations you've ever seen in your life,
yeah,
and craziest videos too of it's like the craziest stuff that you could even imagine. I would say that I've become extremely conservative in the last half a year compared to how I was in the previous year before that. Like at one
yeah.
point, you know, posting like almost 8 to 10 things a day and having a couple 100,000 views at least a day. And
The one that sticks out in my mind, it's like I don't know if it was a flood or something, but the guy he just grabs a hold of that butt and you squeeze it, and it's just water pouring out. Ah, it's just vicious, vicious stuff. You guys aren't following GML on Instagram just for that content. I mean, aside from the amazing lights, links down below to all his stuff there. So definitely, reach out, check out that kid. But let's bring it back to lights. Bring it back to lights. So, tips, tricks, any other general information you want to share about your products, stuff that we may not know.
um, just trying to think.
And we've talked about a lot already. You got the booster bars, predators, you got side lighting, you got the channel spectrum tuning, all
Well,
that stuff.
actually, yeah. Well, we've been developing like we started working on this almost 2 years ago. Just it's like a UVB UVA 30-watt bar that you add on. It's like an add-on to your light. And
Yeah,
basically, we already have done it, and we put it enclosed it so it'd be IP66, so you like fully don't have to worry
beautiful.
about spraying it or anything. And we just were having an issue of, well, it's one thing that we're about to solve is finding a driver for this light. Like most drivers that people use are 0 to 10 volt, so they can, but the only ones like, because this is a fluorescent light, by the way, not a one with
Oh,
diode.
so you need more like a ballast type system.
The reason why we're using it, UVB diodes are like highly inefficient. And so this is about 80% more efficient than any UVB diodes.
Okay.
And so that's the reason why, and it'll be good for, if you're only using it an hour a day, I think it would be good for years, basically, you know.
Yeah, right
And
on.
so, anyways, it's a UVB, UVA, and once you have that, you'll be able to mimic a CMH spectrum if you want, and it's just giving you basically control of UVB, UVA, and UVC if you have the predators. Excuse me.
Very, very cool. Just hit it across the board, getting all the spectrum that you can. So I guess, just kind of wrap things up here. Anything coming up here in the next few months into 2025, events that you're at, or anything you want to promote? Salesman, perhaps.
Sorry, salesmen, you said?
I just say any upcoming sales or anything that you'd like to promote. We've got your site link down below, so folks can get
Yeah.
to you there pretty
We're
easy.
gonna have a booth at MJ BizCon coming up in Las Vegas this year.
Nice. So look for
And
it there if you get a chance to attend.
yeah, and just basically that we're setting up basically worldwide here in this next couple months.
Hell
Like
yeah.
we basically have worked out a deal for Australia and New Zealand between two different distributors, and also Germany, Austria, Switzerland with one another person, and then the UK and Spain with another. And that's all happening in the next couple months. So
GML lights coming to you everywhere, folks. So look for them. But
yes.
link down below if you want more information. Well, hey, GML, dude, absolutely fantastic chatting with you today. Super excited about your lights. They sound just amazing. Hopefully, we can get those Predators up in Canada here real soon. And anything else you want to touch off on before we close out?
No, I'm sorry that I had to be so medicated. Like I took so many different edibles and stuff today because of the pain I have in my mouth right now.
I'm
So
sorry to hear you're dealing with that, man. Dental pain is the absolute worst.
yeah, so
But
I'm
I
just
think,
trying to even pronounce words is kind of complicated. So I've kind of struggled through this, but
yeah.
um
Well, All my guests, including myself, are always a little medicated. So appreciate you having on, man. Everybody check
Yeah.
out his stuff down below. Look for those predators. And dear God, if you got thrips like I've had to fight, perhaps we've got a light forward.
It's trips are a problem of the past. And yeah, thank you very much for having me on.
All right, sounds good, man. We're on.
Okay, thanks.